Welcome back, you cats of collateral catastrophe, to yet another exciting day of Let's Watch some Netrunner and analyze what we can, and just see all the fancy fun things that are happening in the Netrunner world. As of recording, this is 02/18 of 2020. We are in patch 3.1. Oh gosh, I'm getting my last year patches and Netrunner patches mixed up. It's not a patch. Most wanted list 3.4b is where we are at. Again, we're just spectating random games on jinteki.net. That's JINTEKI. Totally free to play. Definitely should check it out if you are interested in Netrunner at all, or if you're thinking about getting back into it if you are a longtime fan. Otherwise, let's start off the game by looking at Jinteki, a pretty well-known user around the Netrunner world. Holy mackerel, that's loud. I'm so sorry. Let's turn all that down. We jumped into a game that I thought was fairly early. What turn are we in? We're already in turn 6. Okay, this is a pretty disgusting sports metal deck I've seen around lately. Looks like we have pretty average Leela here. Turntabling what she pleases while accessing off of gang signs. HQ interface makes the gang sign access even more disgusting. Somehow HB has like 10 billion cards in their hand. Oh, it looks like they double Rashida'd, would be my guess. I don't know how else you get that many cards in your hand. It's not like there's any Fisks in Leela's discard pile. Oh, Leela scored a bunch of agendas and bounced a bunch of things back to Sports Metal's hand. And then Sports Metal decided to draw? But why? How do they have so many clicks? Oh, they used they're using Fast Break, which allows you to, okay, so, yeah, you can install X cards in a single remote server. So I think what they're doing is they're using Fast Break because it costs 4 credits, and then they get 4, they can install up to 4 things in a server and or gain money back. And then they archived memories did it again. It's interesting they're fast breaking again, but they can only uses Fast Break to draw 4 cards. What on earth is happening? Okay, again, this is a sports metal deck I've been seeing lately, and what they do is they infinitely recur. It's pretty disgusting. It's very much like the old Cerebral Intelligence ID, where you have 10 billion cards in hand, and then you install trigger, install trigger, install trigger, and you do this infinite cycle. Oh my gosh, and look, he's doing it. So he's game changing, and that's giving him 4 extra clicks every time he uses it. Of course, he has to spend a click to use it, so it's a net of 3 clicks. So this turn, essentially, he's used 9 clicks, and he's generating the money to do that by using advanced assembly lines, rezzing advanced assembly lines for free with Breaker Babe Grid, and then installing it and getting money back partially by using Fast Break, because that gives him both money and a free install. Lateral growth is sometimes used to do this. I don't see it here. He's still drawing more and more cards. I've seen this deck in action before, but I've never seen it like this. Is he doing this right? He must be. Him underscored, I don't know how you want to describe that. Is both of these users are power users on Jinteki. I've seen them multiple times before. They know the game very well. So him, I assume, knows what he's doing here. He gets another free install anytime he wants with advanced assembly lines. Is there any counter whatsoever to this? See, and here's the disgusting part. When you start rezzing these team sponsorships, what then you want to do as a sports medal is you score an agenda, which triggers all your team sponsorships, which lets you reinstall your advanced assembly lines, which gets you money to install new things. Then you use this card here, Arella Salvatore, which when you score an agenda from any location, you also can install a card and put an agenda counter on it. So it's a form of fast advance. So what you do is you score something with Arella Salvatore, you put a new agenda into this server, you put a counter on it, and then you also have all of these calibration testings. And yeah, Jank Techie just oh no, him concedes. And apparently him didn't have the money or didn't have the clicks to do it. He probably was almost there. Yeah, looks like Jank Techie is a little upset about it. He said it was a waste of time. But this is essentially the strategy. It's very degenerate. It's very, very uninteractive. It's probably something that I would imagine gets banned or countered in some way. I, as a blanket statement, hate team sponsorship. I think team sponsorship is a terrible card, design-wise, because it lets you just do some really dumb things. Unfortunately, well, maybe we should say fortunately, our HB player here wasn't quite able to get the combo off, but essentially we got to see it started here, right? Because you have Breaker Bay, so you have Breaker Bay here. You use Fast Track, which is this card here, Fast Break, sorry, to install a bunch of cards in a single server. So what you do is you install a bunch of calibration testings, you install Arella Salvatore, and you install Breaker Bay. So suddenly you can res all of your calibration testings, which normally cost you 3 credits, for free. So then you install all of the, you activate all the calibration testings, you score an agenda, which then fires off all your team sponsorships. With your team sponsorships, you then put all of the advanced assembly lines back, you reinstall them, essentially. Then you're, no, sorry. No, I'm getting this wrong. Advanced assembly lines isn't actually what you use to reinstall with team sponsorship. You reinstall the calibration testings. That's right. So the calibration testings then come back from the bin when you score an agenda. Pardon me. Come back from the bin. You put them back into this server, which you then res for free because of Breaker Bay Grid. And then Arella Salvatore allows you to put another new agenda into this server and put an agenda point on it, thus repeating the cycle infinitely, because essentially you have an agenda with a point on it, you've recurred your calibration testings, you've res your calibration testings for free, you activate your calibration testings, thus scoring the agenda, thus triggering your team sponsorships, and the cycle just keeps going and going and going. I did not expect this to be the first game we would jump in on, but it is certainly a strategy that if you're going to play on gentechie.net, you need to be aware of. It's very degenerate. It's, in my opinion, bad form. If you're going to play this strategy, it's only because you're trying to learn how it works. Playing this strategy, playing against this strategy is no fun. Yeah, it's not a great time for anyone. So let's jump into another new game. Hopefully we see something a little better than nonsense sports medal, which is such a shame. Sports medal is one of my favorite HB IDs, if not my favorite. Anyway, we do see another Leela. Leela is pretty common on gentechie.net because she's one of the only runners aggressive and brutal enough to consistently win games against multiple different archetypes. Here it looks like we have asset spam Gagarin. I'm sure you know, but Gagarin is going to make it so that anytime you want to access one of these servers, you have to pay a credit. And that can get pretty taxing pretty quickly. It's very much nullified if you can find a way to give your corporation opponent bad publicity, but Leela's probably not packing Mining Accident, and she's playing slow anyway. She pieces in our times and puts down 2 extra data foldings. She's making bank for the rest of this game. She will not have money problems. In fact, at this point, she's making so much money from data folding with the Kadi, and she wants to play passive and bounce things anyway. She might actually even be able to start contesting these asset servers, or at least maybe one a turn, which is pretty bonkers. Most people can't really do that. So she was very fortunate to draw those 3 data foldings very early and had the piece in our time to have the money to play them. Now, Gagarin is doing what Gagarin does. Interestingly, ices up HQ, which is a bit of a tell. Sort of. I mean, it's not an entirely tell. It sort of says, I have agendas in HQ, please don't run HQ. But it's also, you're playing against criminals, so you're probably going to ice up HQ anyway to help protect against things like diversion of funds or embezzle. I'm looking at this game. We do see the Lady of Liberty res, which is strong, but Leela can trash this. Leela only has to run in here. Yeah, and literally right here. Okay, Lady of Liberty allows you to score agendas outright if you have enough credits, or sorry, power counters on Lady Liberty. You just literally just score the agenda straight out of hand, I think. Yeah, from HQ to your score area. So Leela identifies that as a threat, immediately kills it, but she's in totally fine shape to do that. She spent 5 credits to do that. She still has 16 credits, partially because of the data folding, partially because of the Kaudi money. It's just looking good for her. Probably Gagarin is looking to hard-hitting news her and perhaps looking for a kill through meat damage in that way. If Gagarin is running hard-hitting news into boom or high-profile target. However, it's also not necessarily guaranteed. Yeah, but okay, it's one of those things. It's like 95% Gagarin is running this hard-hitting news boom strategy. Unfortunately, though, Leela has so much money that it's not really. This is almost more of a setback for Leela, not necessarily the end of the game. Yeah, because all she's gonna do here is she's just gonna clear all those tags. Gagarin had to pay not all of his money because he was able to use economic warfare to lower Leela's money by 4 before using the hard-hitting news to give her 4 tags. But he had to pay, about 10 credits, and Leela just shakes the tags and is just going to keep going because, again, she's got data folding money coming in. She'll be able to click Kaudi the longer the game goes on. I don't know if Gagarin is going to be able to pressure Leela enough that they're going to be able to win. Leela could still lose, but I don't know how Gagarin scores this. He does have the Mamba Temple. Probably if you're Leela, the Mamba Temple is the next thing you want to hit. Either that or the Daily Business Show. I think the Mamba Temple, though, is really what you want to go for. So we see it triple install, which triggers Jeeves, and then a click for a credit for the Corp. I would almost, I don't know, these could either be baits, they could be agendas. If they were Atlases, Gagarin might just score these outright. The real problem is that Gagarin can only score one of these, and Leela knows it. And the reason why I say one is because the moment Gagarin scores one of them, then Leela gets to bounce another mystery card back to their hand. But, of course, if Gagarin just reses them because they're not agendas, then Leela can't bounce them, obviously. I would put money that 10 or 11 is an agenda. I think one of these has to be an agenda. Leela's going to bounce server 11. I wouldn't even be surprised if server 11 is also an agenda. Leela's going to bounce a card back to HQ. Maybe I don't think it's going to matter what she bounces because Gagarin's going to get another click back to respond to this, and the reason for that is because he triple advanced with a Jeeves model Bioroid, and that's going to give him another click back. So it doesn't really matter what Leela bounces. Leela could bounce anything. She does multi-access. Oh, right. So I guess she bounces one of the face down cards over here, hoping to maybe access it and either trash it or even score it if it was an agenda. She does score a false lead, which is then going to create a combo situation where she's now going to get to bounce another card back to hand. And because that happens, because Gangstone only fires when the Corp scores an agenda, not when the runner steals an agenda. But it does, it did look like she still had an access left. Oh, because of the multiple gang signs and the HQ interface means she accesses 3 times for 2 cards each time. Very nice. Sorry, a lot to go over. I know there's just a lot happening right now. But essentially that's sort of the back and forth that's happening right now. Gagarin reses a Rashida, going to get 3 draw, 3 credits. The 3 draw being much more valuable than 3 credits right now. Louis Gilherm is installed by Leela. This isn't one I'm very familiar with. The Corp's maximum hand size is reduced by 1. Interesting. That's going to make those HQ interface gang sign runs much stronger. So it's going to put the pressure on the corp when Leela starts bouncing things back to hand, because suddenly the corp has one fewer slots to hold stuff onto. Now, of course, Louis here does charge Leela 1 credit per turn, but it just basically negates one of the data foldings. Not insignificant, but Leela's not losing that much tempo by using this. Now, we do see the quadruple install from Gagarin. If I was Leela at this point, I would be tempted to run all of these face-down cards. Tempted. Now, I don't know if I would do it, because she's not pressured. And see, the thing is, she's almost okay if... Okay, so there's a lot of things interacting here all at once. She's almost okay if the corporation scores an agenda, and the reason for that is because she gets the bounce, she gets the HQ access, and she can respond that way. She also still needs to be very careful of hard-hitting news, and the reason for that is because what Gagarin can do is this false lead agenda is alive. In fact, back when I said I wouldn't be surprised if both of the cards face down were agendas, I'm betting that they were both agendas. I'm betting they were both false leads, because Gagarin needs false lead for the strategy to work. Essentially what you do is you hard-hitting news the runner, but then false lead them so that they can't shake the tags. Like, even if they don't fight the trace and you lose a bunch of money on it, as long as you have enough money to high-profile target, they're dead, right? Like, if you double false lead, if you somehow manage to score 2 false leads, then you could double false lead when their turn begins and they can't shake any of the tags, and then you just high profile target them and kill them. Unfortunately, it looks like our runner Leela here had a problem where they disconnected, and when they reconnected, all of their cards were face down. Sometimes that happens when you rejoin. It rejoins you as a spectator. A little bit frustrating when that happens. We might not get to see the conclusion of this game, which is really sad because it was really starting to heat up. I thought Leela had this pretty much hands down, but the scoring of false lead and the ability to prevent Leela from shaking 2 tags still gives Gagarin, or gave Gagarin, a chance to do this. Because essentially, even a Leela with 2 tags, high profile target deals what, 2 damage for each tag, right? So if you had some way of, well, no, because doesn't high profile target end your turn, or is it a double? I should really know this. This is pretty embarrassing. Let me, hold on. Okay, let me see here if I can pull it up. There's some catch to high profile target. I can never remember what it is, because the people I play with don't really use it, because we don't hate each other. Let's see here. No, there's... Oh my goodness. No, there's no restrictions on it. I think it's just Boom that has restrictions, because Boom is 2 clicks to use, I think. But yeah, high profile target has no restrictions. So you can literally high profile target, or you could high profile target, archive memory, high profile target, and that would deal 8 damage to Leela. So Leela still has a chance to win. She goes after the Jeeves. I mean, okay, so the reason she did that is because now that the Jeeves is off the table, when Gagarin triple clicks an agenda, they won't get a click to respond to Leela. And Leela probably wants to then bounce the HQ ice and then diversion of funds, or would be my guess. It looks like they decided to draw. They seem to be having... Leela still seems to be having a bit of connection issues. You have to assume, though, that one of these 4 agendas, or one of these 4 face downs is an agenda, if not multiple. But the only reaction that Gagarin is going to get is this team sponsorship trigger, unless some of these other cards are team sponsorship. Team sponsorship will let you install a card from hand, but because it's the corp's turn, that means that all of their triggers must resolve before the runner's triggers. So they're not going to be able to install from hand with team sponsorship something that Leela bounces back, if I understand that correctly. Yeah, because the trigger is when an agenda is scored. So here, Gagarin triple clicks. Now Leela gets to... Now they get to... They get to install something from Archives. They install the Jeeves that Leela trashed. But now Leela gets to respond by bouncing something. Wait, what do they bounce? They bounce something in the server. What? They bounce something in server 15. They bounce something they don't even know what it is. Very strange. Do they even intend on... Maybe they don't run diversion of funds. They just wanted the access on a random card, hoping that it was maybe an agenda, maybe what. She does see that there's hard-hitting news and economic warfare in hand. So that's what else did she see? Gang sign sees border control, hard-hitting news. She doesn't see high-profile target. She doesn't see anything that could tutor high-profile target. Doesn't mean it's not there. Probably means it's not there though. Because technically you could have just accessed the same two cards over and over again, but... Yeah, that almost makes me think Leela isn't running anything that wants to target HQ, because it's wide open. Like, if you were going to diversion of funds, now would be the time. And I don't even think diversion of funds would be a bad idea, because it would be a 10 credit swing in the favor of not getting hard-hitting newsed into false lead. Now, maybe she knows something that I don't. I mean, obviously, she knows what's in her hand, so if she didn't have diversion of funds, it wouldn't matter. She accesses Commercial Banker Group, which is almost a must trash. Yeah, she's going to go ahead and just immediately trash that. Still, though, I'm not necessarily agreeing with what she's doing. I just don't know if I agree with the order that she's doing it. Now, she is going to get an agenda score, which is good. She'll be able to bounce anything back. She could bounce the ice from HQ or the mystery card in server 17. Actually, the mystery card in server 17 isn't mystery at all. We know it's Jeeves model Bioroid. So she bounces that back to hand. So now Gagarin can't get the triple click. Now, I will admit, because this paid off. I said I didn't agree with the order that she did it, but don't make no means about it. This definitely paid itself off. She got the agenda. She was able to bounce back Gagarin's board state. Gagarin now can't install 3 cards and get the Jeeves click. Yeah, in general, I don't think that was a bad idea. It's just, I'm really surprised that she's left the Mamba Temple on the table for so long, because the Mamba Temple is what's allowing Gagarin to get all of this forward momentum out of rezzing things for free. Now, maybe, but I should stop looking at things in a vacuum, because maybe she's just looking at the credit count and saying, I don't care if the corp's getting 2 credits a turn. But I think you have to care. Her lose condition is getting hard-hitting newsed, and she can't be hard-hitting newsed if the corp doesn't have more money than her. I don't know. This could be a meta call. Maybe she's just thinking that she'll be able to win through random accesses on HQ from Gang Sign or something. I don't know. Gagarin has almost no ice installed. I say that, they put another ice on R&D. That's good. However, Leela's fully iced up, fully breakered up with very strong breakers. These breakers are very cheap to install, and they're pretty strong, allowing these two here, Passport and Alias, can only be used on central servers. Tycoon gives the corp money, but it's very, very cheap to install. She fisks Seminars, putting Gagarin in kind of an awkward spot, because assuming that server 20 is an agenda, let's assume that server 20 is an agenda, and this mystery card, or this mystery ice here, is probably Tour Guide. Oh, no. Maybe it was an agenda bait. Actually, that means Gagarin is in a very rough spot, because, yeah, they've got 8 cards in hand. Well, no, because they have the Jeeves, so they can triple install these cards. No, never mind. Gagarin's fine. I was gonna say, a lot of times when that happens, this card behind ice is actually an agenda. What they want to do is score it, but then they can't because Fisk Seminar forced them to draw a bunch of cards. However, because it wasn't an agenda, Gagarin wasn't pressured to score anything. Unless Server 21 was the agenda, and the bait was by putting a random asset. Yeah, I think this was a bait. I think he wanted to test Leela to see what Leela was gonna do. Now Leela has a bunch of money here. Oh, and she's gonna Kushik R&D. So Kushik is gonna let her see 6 cards, probably. What's she naming with Kushik? Do you not have to name it when you play? Well, anyway, she's probably gonna name. Let's see, what does she have the most of? A lot of 3s, a bunch of 4s. There's 1 1 1 1. She's got at least 5. I don't know which one has the most, but anyway, she'll essentially have she'll be seeing 5 or 6 cards through Kushik, and then she'll get to choose which one she wants to access, in turn bouncing other things back to HQ. And now this is a border control that Gagarin rezzed, which means that Gagarin can choose to just stop this run if they want, which might not be a bad idea. Leela said she broke the ice. Let's see. I'm not sure what's going on here. They're just handling the break manually. Oh, he doesn't realize that Tycoon gives the Corp 2 extra credits. Anyway, so once Leela pays the... they realize their mistake. Once Leela pays this, Gagarin will make the choice, yeah, probably to end the run, because letting a Kushik fire through like that would be pretty brutal. Well, not brutal, but it would definitely not be good for Gagarin. Now, I'm hoping Leela has another Kushik in hand, because otherwise she's probably out for this turn. Her whole strategy hinged around being able to get something out of R&D and then bounce other things from servers back into the HQ hand. Plus, because of these 2 daily business shows, you have to think that Gagarin is not drawing more agendas than they want. So I wouldn't be surprised if only one of these 4 servers is an agenda. Leela's got the tough choice of figuring out how to navigate this situation. She chooses a server at random and runs, which isn't a terrible call. You can have like a 1 in 3 chance, right? Okay, sees the Lady Liberty, has to decide whether or not she wants to trash it, goes in for the trash. I'm worried though. She's dropped down to 14 credits. We see a commercial banker group. Ugh. And another Mamba Temple. So Gagarin has like infinite money right now. And I just feel like, I know I said earlier, oh well, Leela has plenty of money, maybe she doesn't want, maybe she's not worried about the hard-hitting news, but yeah, here it comes. Here's the economic warfare. I'm sure this is going to be hard-hitting news at the end. Yeah. Here's the hard-hitting news. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this false lead popped after Leela spends 2 clicks. Because, oh no, he just does it right away. See, I think the nasty thing to do is let the runner take two clicks and then use it, so they don't realize they only have 2 clicks to respond. She uses networking? Oh my goodness. Wow. Is that even a legal card anymore? No. I don't know why networking was being used here. At any rate, yeah, this is a good game because now we just see the high-profile target used. that can't be legal, right? Networking isn't legal, is it? I gotta check the most wanted list. Hang on. Let me see if networking is legal. Oh my goodness, networking is in the 2019 system core. Okay, no, networking is a legal card. It didn't matter, though, because Leela didn't have enough clicks to respond, which is why this strategy works. All Gagarin needs is 1 false lead, and then a credit lead. So again, I think it's tough, right? Leela doesn't. I think the mistake that Leela made was taking some of her actions out of order. I think she ran all the face down servers one turn too late, but it paid out for her. And so that didn't set her back. That wasn't like the losing condition. I think the losing condition was dropping down in credits. I think her plan from the beginning should have been go after this Mamba Temple. Because how much money did the Mamba Temple give Gagarin this entire game? Like at least 12 credits, right? You gotta think. At least 12. And it would have cost Leela 4 credits to run and break. This was... The Louis Gielherm was interesting, but I think it was too aggressive. I think you would... Against this particular matchup, you don't want to install Louis. Because he costs you a credit a turn, which puts you 1 credit further behind into getting hard-hitting news. Like, what turn is it? It's turn 17. When did she play Louis? Let's see if we can find it. Turn 11. Okay, so not as bad as I thought, but she would have been 7 credits higher. 6 or 7. Well, 7 if you count the click it costs to install Louis. If she had just clicked for a credit instead, it would have been 7 credits higher. Would have been that much harder to be hard-hitting news. What else? She could have gone for the Mamba Temple early. Let's assume that would have made like maybe a 4, 6 credit difference depending on how many times it was used. Like she could be about 10 credits up, right? I think that would have, well, I don't know if it would have made all the difference, but it would have helped. It's tough. It's tough because even if she'd done that, then Gagarin would have had free reign to just throw things down and score them. I think what really killed her was the border control on R&D. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun game. I guess it's easy for me to sit here and go, oh, she should have done this, should have done that. But like in all reality, there were a lot of factors all tugging against her to lose this game, and she fell behind in the money game. So, all right. Well, that was at least more than Sports Metal installing 10 billion cards. We're gonna see the same Leela deck against, I can't remember the name of this, Earth Station. Earth Station's the neat one where, so on one side, it's this side, where it says, as an additional cost, run a remote server, the runner has to pay 6 credits. So just to initiate the run against this server, they have to pay 6 credits. But if the runner runs HQ, and, well, I think they just have to run HQ, right? No, they have to make a successful run in HQ. Then this ID flips over and they can run remotes like normal. Okay, timely public release is kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke agenda. I mean, it's a legitimate agenda, but the name certainly is satirical. When you score it, you do have the option of installing 1 piece of ice from HQ or archives in any position, ignoring all costs. Very neat little cantrip to have. Can certainly pull your butt out of the fire when you need it. It also is worth noting that it negates install costs, so you could save some money by installing it on a very thick server. However, our Wayland friend here is using Gingergrid, so they're revealing all of their ice and installing it for free. Very nice card, Gingergrid. It certainly aggravates me when I see it played against me. They do have to reveal what they're installing, though. They've revealed Border Control and Surveyor. So we already know this is a 4 ice deep server with a Surveyor. And Wayland has plenty of money to res that Surveyor. Going for the double advance on a mystery card and 2 upgrades. This is just a super server. I think the thing is, though, is that Leela doesn't care. I think Leela just lets these agendas get scored, but she's taken too long to set up. And I don't think it's her fault. I think the game is just running faster than she can keep up with. She doesn't have any gang signs out. She does have her HQ interface, but she needs a gang sign for any of this to work. At least one gang sign. She fisks. Putting Wayland into a little tough spot, because now they have to decide whether they want to score what assumedly is a 5-3, or if they want to try and use these cards so they don't get wasted. Otherwise, they're gonna have to pitch 4 cards. They could use Timely Public Release to install one of their cards from HQ. Oh, but no, they mandatory draw and then they reveal an ice, so that's 1 card out of their hand that they don't need to worry about. I'm sorry, I might have misspoke. They wouldn't have to pitch 4 cards, they'd have to pitch 3 cards. They install another upgrade on HQ. You have to assume one of those is a Chrysium Grid. This is not looking good for Leela. I've never seen an Earth Station ID this powerful, or in such a powerful position. All the Earth Station IDs I've seen have kind of just flopped. But this one seems to be going pretty well. Okay, we have a turntable install. A run on archives. Why? What's the run on archives? Is it just literally to see the face downs? Kind of a strange run. Alright, nothing in archives worth going for. Wayland decided to pitch. Looks like a lot of money cards. A lot of money cards. Look at that. Oh, look at all that money in the bin. Good gravy. I guess they think they don't need it, and they kind of don't. Because they have 2 surveyors on this 10 strength, 2 10 strength surveyors on this server. Scores SSL. It's of course going to get them money back. Leela does get the gang sign access, thankfully, accessing 3 cards. She gets a bounce 2 card. What does she bounce first? Oh, she gets to choose to bounce. So she added the HQ ice to HQ. And she accesses agenda. Or no, she stole an SSL. Wait, what's going on here? Hold on. Wayland scores SSL. Wouldn't Leela's trigger fire then? Why didn't Leela's trigger fire? She accessed before... I guess she gets to choose the order of access. Yeah, and then she did the 2 bounces. Interesting. Yeah, because you're resolving your own subroutines, you can choose to fire gang sign first or Leela first. And that could lead to some strategical decisions. She decided to fire gang sign first because she didn't want to accidentally access more ice while going into HQ for the gang sign HQ interface interaction. So she accesses HQ, she pulls an SSL, and then bounces both the R&D ice and the HQ ice out. Ooh, and then goes for the punch, the low blow under the belt. Goes right in for the Kushik, preceded by the freedom through equality. So she's gonna look for a 3-pointer, because if she gets it and steals it with freedom through equality, she just wins. Now, in response, Wayland used their public timely release to then install an ice on R&D. They go ahead and res it, which it is a code gate with end the run. Leela seems a little upset. They say, is that a thing? I guess they're probably gonna need to figure out whether the ruling on this is accurate or not. It is a little questionable. So the wording on the card says, install 1 piece of ice from HQ or archives in any position, protecting a server, ignoring all costs. I guess the question really is does that mean that the runner is now encountering it? Let's see if that's the case. Let me look up timely public release. And we'll see if this allows, if there's maybe... Oh, it looks like it got some new art. Somebody says, so if the runner approaches the outermost ice of a server, you can install an ice from archives directly behind it. But you cannot use this ability on a server with 0 ice to force the runner to encounter a new piece of ice when running it. I don't want to interrupt these guys' games, but I think that is the right calling. I think because when they're running, you can install the ice in the server, but I don't think the runner encounters it. It's the same kind of problem when you get booped by what's the Hydra Ginteki ID? Egg Infusion. When you get booped by Egg Infusion into a server where the ice is new, you can jack out. I think it's probably some kind of weird timing like that. So I don't think Afshar should actually fire here. Yeah, even again, we're spectating. Technically, we didn't even get these people's permission to record them, so I'm not gonna try and interfere with their game. But yeah, I think that's the right calling. You can't use timely public release to install something in a server with no ice and force the runner to approach it. Now, if it was a server with one piece of ice, you could then use it to install behind, because you can install it in any position protecting the server. You could install it behind the ice that they're encountering, and then they would have to encounter it. Surprisingly, the Kushik whiffs. They access border control, ice wall, and NGO front. That would have been the game-winning action right there if they had hit a 5-3. We see the triple click. Is that going to be game? Yeah, that's game. Down to the wire on both sides. Leela, there was no way Leela was going to contest this remote, and so Earth Station was free to just score things right out of it. Leela made their winning play to go in and look for the 3-pointer. It's probably a decent chance. Well, I'd say decent, but maybe not as decent as I think, because 2 of the 3-pointers that we've seen are already on the map. But running into this remote would have just been suicide, so I've not seen Leela lose games like this so frequently. I think it's because this is the second time we've seen this particular Leela deck. I think it's because this Leela deck doesn't seem to run diversion of funds. Or if it does, we haven't seen them use it. I think that's really the nasty thing, right? You diversion of funds you let them score an agenda, so they're low on credits, then you bounce their HQ eyes, then you steal all their money. Anyway, we'll see if we can get a different person's game so we don't keep getting the same 2 games over and over again. There we go. So we get a different runner this time, which is good. Geist. Oh, I think I know what deck this is. I net decked this. If this is the OK Boomerang deck, I love this guy's deck. It is very fun to play. Anyway, so Geist obviously wants to play as many cards with trash can abilities on them as possible, so there's not going to be a lot of surprise that almost any Geist deck is going to run 6 spy cams. You'll see cards like Street Peddler or Technical Writer swapped in and out when needed or when not needed, but Tech Trader is obviously also a must-have in Geist, and the first thing Geist wants to do is set up all their Tech Traders as quick as possible. You can see here, he Street Peddled through. Yep, this is the exact same. This is the OK Boomerang deck. It's a fun deck. I'm very familiar with it at this point. And what Geist is going to do is he's going to set up for the first 2 or 3 turns, and we'll get into the maddening number of triggers he does as we go along with it. Essentially, though, what he's done, he Street Peddled 1 Tech Trader, hostage for the second. Now, anytime he trashes things, he gains 2 credits. Goes ahead and installs the spy camera. He's got his Technical Writer. The Technical Writer gets more money for every program and hardware you install. course, the masterwork is also amazing because every time you install hardware, you also draw a card. So just right now, when this guy installs a spy camera, he draws a card, and then he puts a credit on technical writer, then trashes this to look at R&D, gain 2 credits, and gain another draw from Geist's ID. It's pretty... The machine is very fun. I hate Shaper, but I love Geist. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, but yeah. It is a little sad he had to trash one of his boomerangs off the street peddler, but that's the right call. He needs those tech traders. And he'll be able to recur the boomerang with a card called the Back, which he's running one of. Now, Earth Station has not flipped their ID. Oh no, sorry, they have flipped their ID. So they're baiting a run into HQ, saying you have to come into HQ because running my remote is prohibitive. Geist does not care. Geist will not care for, like, the fastest you'll set this deck up is 3 turns. He could even spend the first 6 turns setting up, although I wouldn't recommend it. He needs to make some kind of run, force a little bit of action out of the corp, and he can do that with cards like Gabali, like Grappling Hook, like Boomerang. Boomerang is risky, though, to use on unresed ice. You can overwrite your existing Boomerang, but if the corp just never reses the ice, then Boomerang will never get used. It'll never get shuffled back into your deck. We'll see if this guy makes that mistake. However, our Earth Station player simply just says, okay, and installs an agenda, presumably, and a piece of ice, protecting that remote server. He also has plenty of money to back this threat up. Guy says, okay, I will try to run R&D. It looks free. It does have that agenda on it, or sorry, it does have that upgrade on it. So we'll get to see what the upgrade is. It is a Jinja City grid. Geist has no money whatsoever, so there's no way he can steal it. And surprisingly, this Earth Station ID runs really fast. All of the Earth Station IDs I've seen try to run very turtily. They try and build up one super server, and they try and put ice everywhere. I've never seen... This is the second game we've seen this Earth Station deck be played by this person, and I've never seen one that runs so quickly. And I think that's what's making it work. All the Earth Station IDs I've seen, they flop because they can't... They're just too slow. And building a super server doesn't matter when the runner can just break through everything. But this guy is gingeing up, he's scoring agendas, he has a board state, he has money, and Geist is meanwhile setting up and doing what Geist wants to do, don't get me wrong. He has his 3 tech traders, he's going to be making 3 credits for every single trash can ability he uses, but he doesn't have any forward momentum right now. He doesn't have anything that can reliably break ice. Ooh, and I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this at all. He installs the Boomerang on an unres piece of ice. Now, okay, he does fork the corp. Yeah, but see, look, he does fork the corp by using diversion of funds. Oh, okay, I thought the corp wasn't going to res. No, you don't res this. This is a bad move. This is a really bad move on Earth Station. Earth Station should not res this. There are so many reasons why this should not be res, because essentially he just gave Geist 3 credits, a card draw, and a recursion of Boomerang. And it cost him nothing. The Boomerang was already installed. The damage was already done. There was no reason to res that. I mean, the only argument for resing it is, okay, so now we have a res piece of ice on HQ that has to be broken, but look, he's got a Gabali. He can just break it. He can go back back through with Gabali. Yeah, you don't want to res that, because it gave guys too much forward tempo. I don't know if it's gonna matter. I think it is gonna matter, because it also put him down an additional 2 credits. Now, it does suck. Of course, getting diversion of funds always sucks. Always sucks. It's never fun to get diversion of funds. Funds did it. But he'd be up 2 credits if he didn't spend the money resing this. Geist would be down a draw and down 3 credits. Yeah, actually, I mean, I don't want to oversell it, but I think that might be the tipping point. because that bought Geist enough tempo to keep setting up, and Geist is going to move faster. Geist is going to move faster than this Earth Station deck once he gets set up. You can see now he's already got 10 credits. Whenever he wants, he can pop Technical Writer. Technical Writer is going to give him, right now it's going to give him 7 credits and a draw. Now it's going to give him 8 credits and a draw. This is just going to keep going. We see the second diversion of funds, and this is probably why he went ahead and rezzed Formicary, because he just wanted something to keep this guy out. But even so, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could argue that if he hadn't installed and rezzed this, then Geist would just be getting even more from him. Sorry, it's making me think. So in a world where he never rezzed Formicary, he would be up 2 credits, right? So he would have 4 credits. 5 if you didn't put this piece of ice here, plus Afshar's res cost, so he would have 8. Geist would fly in here with another diversion of funds, steal your 5 credits, so you'd be down, what? You'd be down to 2 credits. But you'd have an extra click because... So let's say you spent that click just clicking for a credit. It's probably not what you would do with it, but let's say you did. So he would have 3 credits after this diversion of funds. Instead, what he ended up doing by forcing Geist to trash these things is he forced Geist to use these, but it's not forcing him to use it. That's the thing. Geist wants to use his programs. Geist wants you to res his stuff because he wants to use these trashable programs, because he gets paid 3 credits and draws a card every time he does that. Yeah, I think even though it's painful to just say, come on in, diversion of funds me, I don't care. As painful as that is, I think that's what you have to do. You don't res this card, because Geist would literally be down 9 credits and 3 cards if you never res these ice. He would have 6 credits and 3 less cards to look at if you never res those ice. Now what it did do is it let Earth Station keep Geist out, because Geist now doesn't have... Now, wait a minute. What, did he just choose not to trash it? Hold on, how did he get this grappling hook? Interesting. Geist decided to simul-chip the grappling hook, but then said, go ahead and let Afshar fire. So he could have broken through Afshar, but he saw that second piece of ice and decided not to risk it? I don't know why. At that point, I think you just keep going. Because you can break through Afshar with grappling hook. You just lose 2 credits when you do it. But it doesn't matter, because simul-chip gained him 3 credits, and then using grappling hook would gain you 3 credits. You come out of the business 4 credits up. Instead, what ended up happening here? Earth Station drew Ice Wall, installed Ice Wall with Jinda, okay, and then they just installed Double Advanced. Oh, it was an NGO. Geist was trying to get into the server so hard, and all it was an NGO. So he pops the NGO. So maybe that's why Geist didn't continue. He thought maybe it was an NGO, and then he might crash into something bad here. Earth Station is barely hanging in here. And I do mean barely hanging in, because if you're even with Geist in tempo, that's a bad thing, because it means you're very soon going to be behind Geist in tempo. Right now, I think the game is even. Sort of. But Geist has 13 credits whenever he wants it. We see a res on an ice called Akhet. Gain 1 credit, place 1 advancement token, and install card. Huh. Not familiar with this ice. It seems like a new one. Anyway, he trashes he trashes Project Atlas, Geist does, with Stargate, with a Stargate run on R&D. Mid-run on Archives, he uses Masterwork to install Spy Camera. Masterwork also has the ability where when a run begins, you can install a piece of anything, paying a credit. So he installed Spy Cam. Yeah, Geist is going to run away with this. Unless he somehow scores, unless Wayland somehow scores, like, 4 agenda points out of nowhere. I think Geist has got this. He has all the money in the world. The only thing he needs to do now is draw his breakers. So he's running Bugalter. What's the other ones? Amina. What's the barrier breaker? I can't remember what this deck runs as a barrier breaker. It's a standard one though. It might be Corroder. No, that's not it. I don't think it's Corroder. It's something else. Regardless, yeah, the thing is he can get through this with a lot of different tools. He can get through Akhet with Grappling Hook. He can get through Akhet with Gabali. It looks like he broke it this time with... I didn't see. What did he break it with? I'm really confused. What? Oh, he used Gabali. Yeah, so he breaks through with Gabali, gets paid to do it, sees 3 cards, sees Symbol Rig, Border Control, Rashida. I might get rid of the Rashida or the Border Control. It's like between those two. I don't know if you really care about the Thimble Rig. I mean, you could go for the Thimble Rig. Any of these, I guess there are pros and cons of any of these. If you get rid of the Thimble Rig, you prevent this guy from icing up. He does have a Jinja, so you know that when he draws that Thimble Rig, he's going to immediately install it for free. And Thimble Rig is fairly cheap. What does he trash? What did he choose? He went for the Border Control. Yeah, it's probably the right choice. Because he was gonna draw ice one way or the other. So he reveals Thimble Rig, installs it on R&D to help protect against those nasty Stargate runs. Gabali will break Thimble Rig, but interestingly, Grappling Hook won't. The double advance card in the remote was another NGO front. So Wayland has some money. I think we have a game as long as Wayland can keep making money and Jinja icing R&D. But the window where that is an option is quickly closing. If I was Geist, I might even run this server honest and trash the Jinja. He has enough money. Instead, he's going to go for his 3rd diversion of funds. That should be the last one. Into HQ. He uses Masterwork to install Boomerang. He's going to Boomerang Afshar, which still can only break 1 subroutine. So he still has to lose 2 credits. And he paid an extra credit to install Boomerang, so he's paying 5 credits, but he's going to get 3 back when he uses Boomerang. Wait, did he not use it? Oh, he broke it with Gabali. What card did he mark with Boomerang? He marked this unrezzed piece of ice. What? Okay. Guess he's going to take the 2 net damage? No. Former carry is a Sentry, of course. He's going to break it with Bugalter. So he's going to steal a bunch of money from the Corp and then probably run the remote. And the reason he's doing this is twofold. First, it satisfies the condition of Earth Station. So now Earth Station's ID is going to flip. Ooh, but Earth Station goes in with a timely public release to install an ice, but in front of Formicary, correctly using the window that we were discussing in the last game. This might throw things a little bit for a loop for Geist. He probably can still get through it. He has a Grappling Hook. Chances are he can still do this. Oh, but it's a Border Control. So even if he breaks it, which he can with Grappling Hook, Wayland can just end the run. That's very smart. Very, very strong response back against Geist's shenanigans here. Unfortunately, he does lose the timely public release token, and then he's also going to have to trash the border control. But it prevents him from giving that money back over to Geist, because he had to spend what, 4 to res border control. Yeah, he was gonna lose money either way. But I think more importantly, now the win condition, or not the win condition, the successful run condition for Earth Station's ID is no longer active. And so if Geist wants to run this server, he has to do so by spending 6 credits, which he probably doesn't want to do right now. He uses the spy camera. Waylon here calls it the poor man's Nisei, which I'd have to agree. Using timely public release to shove in a border control and then immediately end the run is a bit like poor man's Nisei. At least it's guaranteed, though, whereas Nisei has a 33%, Caprice Nisei has a 33% chance of doing nothing. Yeah, Geist is Geist is a little lost right now. He's not sure how to respond. I'm almost certain he wanted to run in, steal a bunch of money, and then run the remote. But he's not going to get a chance to do that now. Oh, we see an Atlas counter. Very nice. You know, I thought Geist had this, but Earth Station is showing me many tricks about this matchup. It's pretty devious. I guess anytime you see Wayland with a timely public release, you have to, and border control, you have to keep it in the back of your head that they can just shove in a border control and end the run anytime they want. Pretty strong effect. Geist is by no means out of this, but he's now behind. Behind in points, not necessarily behind in, like, board state. He does a Stargate run, he runs into the Thimble Rig. He knew that was a Thimble Rig. How's he going to break it? He prognostic Q loops. So what that is he gets to look at the top 2 cards of his stack and install the top one if he wants to by paying an extra credit. He might be just kind of dead here. I think he accidentally forgot. Oh gosh, that's painful. He accidentally forgot that it was a Thimble Rig and didn't have a response to it. I mean, you could argue he did the run hoping that he would see a boomerang, or yeah, I think he was hoping to see a boomerang. The problem is he has one in his heap, one installed, so he only had a 2 in 7 chance of seeing the other boomerang. Well, even then, it has to be the top card, so it's a 1 in 7 chance. Earth Wayland Station, what do I call that? Earth Station is going to Audacity, and that's going to be the game. The Audacity, the final Project Atlas for the win. Wow, I'm really shocked. Yeah, I mean, I think Geist had that. I think it's just that Earth Station was too tricky. Like, Earth Station moves really quick. This deck with Earth Station moves really quick. They don't use their ID to build super servers, although those are some pretty meaty servers, or at least very well iced servers. Now, the ice on them is pretty cheap to res, and not terribly expensive to break. But there is definitely ice on these servers. And instead, they almost use their ID more to the effect of replicating perfection, where they're requiring a run on HQ before the run on the remotes. The difference being that, unlike replicating perfection, which typically wants like 7,000 assets, this guy just says, I'm going to build a server and force you to run through nonsense faster than you can keep up with. Because money wasn't Geist's issue. Geist's issue was that they didn't have Amina installed. You have to assume they were really close to it. That's the third breaker, by the way. So once they get Amina installed, they can get through anything. I think you definitely pop the technical writer to do that. Technical writer gains you 18, Amina costs 7, and then you just run and go. Even you could even trash the Jinja, because once you trash the Jinja, this whole strategy falls apart. Geist definitely had the money to do it. But I think I would have fallen for this same problem. That Earth Station public timely release, that was so sneaky. To shove in the border control. Anyway, I'm gonna wait to see if a new game pops up, so that way we can jump in right when it begins. So 1 moment. All right, looks like the game began. We have Leela versus Gagarin. I think we've seen a very similar matchup to this earlier. Oh, this is pretty nasty out of Gagarin. Gagarin already has 23 credits. How do they already have 23 credits? It's turn 5. Is it literally because of the commercial bankers group? I don't see anything in archives. Nothing is in the removed from game bin. I don't know what's been happening. I guess this has just been commercial banker group firing. 3 times 5 is 15. No, that doesn't make sense. How the heck does Gagarin have 27 credit? What happened here? Hang on. All right, let's see what happened here. Install ice. Oh, wait a minute. I bet Leela used Peace in Our Time. Yeah, that's where the extra money came from. Okay, so it was just commercial bankers group, turn 1, combined with Peace in Our Time money. Gagarin now has Leela dead to rights to hard-hitting news her anytime he wants. Leela has set up with 3 gang signs, no HQ interfaces. It's almost like Gagarin just has infinite money at this point. Leela goes in for the Fisk, but I think if that card in server 7, that mystery card in server 7 is a false lead, I think Gagarin just steals it. They don't care if they lose cards from hand. All Gagarin needs is one false lead potentially, and 2 false leads will just clinch it. And because of the ridiculous amount of money that they have, and the ridiculous amount of money that Commercial Banker Group is making them, their win condition is essentially just steal false lead, or scores false lead, which is such an easy win condition. Leela isn't contesting the board state. I'm really surprised they left. They probably left this up because they were afraid of being hard-hitting newsed. What do they have in the bin? They didn't draw their money cards until a couple turns later. It's tough. Now, Leela has been dumping money on Kadi this entire time. It's just that, so she's kind of also gaining 3 credits a turn. The difference is that she's spending a click to do it, whereas Gagarin isn't spending a click to do it. Although Leela is also getting 1 credit from data folding. The Kadi money keeps Leela in this, because it means that when Leela wants to start to run, she can be protected by her Kadi money. Still, though, I guess the problem against Gagarin is the moment you start contesting their board state, you simultaneously set yourself back in cash, while also turning hard-hitting news on. If I had to guess, I'd say Leela is going in for the Kushik plays. She's going to allow Gagarin to get as much money as they want, while preserving enough money themselves, so that they can at least fight the trace. Maybe? But it's not enough. The real problem is, once you score false lead as Gagarin, you've basically won, as long as you have more money than the corp, or the runner. There's just so little wiggle room for Leela. Leela's playing net installer, going for the super installs three HQ interfaces. So she's gonna get everything from HQ. I don't know if you install the third HQ interface. Do you install the third HQ interface? Is that greedy? You need the money, right? Or does she plan on winning without ever having to make a run? I mean, that's an option, but you have to assume that Gagarin isn't going to be so stupid to put all their agendas in their hand. Now, this is clever because Oaktown Renovation can't be bounced because it's installed face up. So something that Gagarin might do is act like they're going to steal the Oaktown, or score the Oaktown, and then actually score one of these other face down cards. One of these other face down cards might be an agenda. And that's going to prevent Leela from bouncing Oaktown. It's also going to prevent Leela from accessing it from HQ if it was in HQ. Again, we see that Louis Gilherme installed. Let's call him Louis. It's going to lower the corpse hand size, but still is going to cost Leela 1 per turn. We see another Mamba Temple rezzed. Nannies are rezzed. He's going to get money off that. Yeah, Leela's not going to be able to contest the corpse money anymore. Now, if Leela never makes a run until the game-winning turn, I mean, is that the strategy? Is Leela trying to just never run? Ugh. See, here's the problem, though, is that team sponsorship can install an agenda. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, team sponsorship can install an agenda from HQ. But I guess Leela just bounces it then, doesn't she? So you can install 3 things, but Leela... Oh my goodness, but it's going down face up. Leela can't bounce that. He's got 2 more triggers. He can install 2 things from archives, or 2 things from his hand, or 1 from each. Gagarin can. So he installs 1 card from HQ, 2 cards from HQ. 12 and 13. Now Leela gets her chance to bounce 1 thing. She could take a 50-50 that either 12 or 13 were agendas. Maybe they're both agendas. Or maybe 8 or 11. It's not great though. She doesn't have any like super tasty targets. Oh, she accesses SSD drone deployment. It's gonna force her to trash her breaker. I mean, I guess she's okay with that, isn't she? Although I doubt she runs recursion. So she can't break code gates anymore. But again, I don't know if her plan was ever to run. She bounces the card in server 8. And I'm trying to figure out, she can then choose to fire her other gang signs. So she accesses everything in HQ. And this is another reason why she can't pay to steal the other SSD drone deployment. So SSD drone deployment, you have to pay a program. You have to trash a program in order to steal it. She doesn't have any more programs. This is why I don't know if installing the 4th HQ interface was worth it. Although if her plan is to never run, I guess it doesn't matter. She literally doesn't care. Because she's never going to run to even turn hard-hitting news on until the very last turn. It's very much, of course, to the corp's advantage that Leela knows what this card is, or at least she assumes to know that SSD drone deployment is either in server It's either in HQ or server 13. She's going to run the face down. She accesses standoff. Oh, very nice. Standoff is not going to give Gagarin anything, really. Oh gosh, that's disgusting. All right, so Leela runs the face down and scores standoff, then uses turntable to give standoff to Gagarin and steals the Oaktown. Suddenly, this game went from Leela having no points to Leela having 5 points and Gagarin having nothing. But she's turned on hard-hitting news. But Gagarin doesn't have false lead. I would call that calculated. That was pretty intentional, I think. And because you're free from like even if Gagarin hard-hitting news is her here, she doesn't care. I mean, she cares. She'll have to spend 8 credits and 4 clicks removing them all. So Gagarin should still do it, but it's going to be really tough because Gagarin never scored that false lead. If Gagarin scored even a single false lead here, I think Leela just loses. Assuming that high-profile target was in hand, which it isn't. Now that I think about it, high-profile target isn't in hand. Leela hit it all. Leela hit the entire hand. Huh. It's a rough place for Gagarin to be in. Now, as Leela here, I don't know what you bounce. I guess you bounce the HQ ice because it's going to force Gagarin to spend another credit to put it down. Or maybe you don't bounce anything because you don't want Gagarin to run put any ice on R&D. We already know from past experience that this Leela likes to run Kushik. So Leela wants to kind of trick the Corp into not icing anything on R&D. That way she can get a free Kushik into, preceded by, of course, freedom through equality. Now, using the team sponsorship triggers, Gagarin is going to be able to install a super server here. The real question is, does it matter? Leela only needs one more agenda to win, and she very well could Kushik this turn. How many targets does she have? We have 4, 4, 4, 4. We have 3 4s. I think that's what it would be. So she'd see 4 cards. Ideally, you'd want 5 or 6. She's probably deciding now. Oh no, I'm sorry. Wayland was still doing their random installations. Okay, so it looks like using their last click, because Gagarin knew that Leela can't steal SDS drone deployment, they weren't worried about Leela's gang sign access. And then they went ahead and installed SDS here in this server. The really painful part about this is that even if they score this, which is going to take them 2 turns to do so, even if they score that, Wayland doesn't win. Gagarin doesn't win. And they have to do that hoping they never draw an agenda, because the moment they draw an agenda, Leela's going to access HQ 3 times, hitting 4 cards each time. Yeah, so he's just desperately installing this, and what he doesn't know is R&D. Yeah, okay, here we go. So he ices R&D. Smart move. But it might be too little too late, because the moment they score the SDS drone deployment, Leela's going to bounce the R&D ice. Yep. There's Fisk. Kind of helps the... Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't help the Corp. The Corp doesn't want cards in hand right now. Corp doesn't want to draw agendas. They want to score SDS when they had an empty HQ. Now that they don't have an empty HQ, this is so dumb. This is why I almost never play games on Jinteki, because it's this kind of dumb stuff. Leela is not really even running. She's not even running remotes with... She's not running servers with ice. Oh, there's an SSL in archive, so she wins anyway. Even if that SSL wasn't in archive, she still pretty much wins. Because the moment, like, what's going to happen is Gagarin's going to score SDS. Leela's going to bounce R&D and then Kushik R&D. All the money in the world. All the money in the world. And it didn't matter. So I guess I have to say my original analysis for saying you want to fight the Mama Temples was wrong. I feel like it's so risky, though. Because imagine, we have to assume that this Gagarin was running false lead. Imagine that any of these cards that Gagarin installed and just left on the table was a false lead. Well, Leela just loses, right? But maybe we didn't see high profile. Oh, no, there it is. There's definitely a high profile target in the bin with consulting visit. Yeah, I don't know. I think this just as easily could have gone in Gagarin's favor. Because if any of these mystery cards were false lead, then the moment Leela makes a run... Now, Leela was very smart in that turn where she did make those runs when false lead wasn't out. I mean, is that just what you have to do against Gagarin like this? You just have to run and hope they don't have false lead somewhere? Seems like a really bad strategy. Or not bad strategy, but it doesn't really seem like much of an option. Oh, well. I'm glad I don't have to play against these kinds of decks in person. Well, thanks for watching. That was some more Netrunner to go over. Not quite as diverse as last time. Part of that was there just weren't quite as many people on today, since this isn't a weekend. At any rate, at least we got to see some interesting games. We got to see that crazy sports metal nonsense. Oy. Balancing a game like Netrunner must be a nightmare to make sure that infinites like that just can't happen or are unlikely to happen. But when they do, ugh. At any rate, take care out there and have fun.